Kamen Rider.
Decay, 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 no!
Hi guys, and for today's video, I'm going to be giving you my episode 3 review of number 1 Sentai Gozyuger. Without further ado, let's begin with the review. Okay, so the episode opens up with Tono working at another job, and he's, trying his best to work at this job. But of course, his super smelling abilities, activates, or at least, he's using his super smelling abilities that are coming on. And of course, he freaks his boss out, and of course, he freaks his boss out, he freaks the customers out, and of course, Tono gets fired from his current job, and he's like, what the heck, what is with these weird powers? And Ryuko shows up, and he tells them about, each of them have super abilities, and his is super smelling, and Tono's like, oh great, I get stuck with these weird powers. And then we eventually cut to, our monster of the week. He possesses the store owner, and the store owner gets possessed by the monster of the week. But we eventually cut to a new character, Atami Tokunatsu, which is this up-and-coming prime minister type guy, and he has the powers of Don Momotaro, and he's very popular with people. And then eventually, the monster of the week shows up, they fight, and eventually, before that happens, Ryuko and Tono talks about this Atami guy, and basically, Tono's like, I don't like this guy, and basically, then the monster of the week shows up. The monster of the week tries to, attack Atami, but of course, Atami henshins into Don Momotaro, and eventually, he uses sort of these paper origami as these attacks, and that's pretty cool. And then that happens, and then we cut to the half-century cafe, and then Tono, Ryuko, and Ryugi are just talking about Atami and how should they get his Sentai ring, should they steal it from the guy, should they attack the guy, and we see this mysterious lady come by, and this lady is just talking about, I'm not sure you want to attack the guy. The guy has a lot of power. He's a prime minister. He's really up and coming. He has a lot of power, political power. You don't want to mess with this guy. And everyone is just baffled by this girl, this mysterious girl. Of course, she's just being, charming and just being all quirky. She's being very funny with the guys. And of course, she's like, well, I gotta go. And we found out later she's gonna be our next, ranger, our next, Gozyuger / ranger. And but we don't find out until the end of the episode. But basically, some shenanigans happens. We see the monster week, is brainwashing people to do his bidding, and then we see Ryuko and Tono just shows up to the monster week, and they basically do a challenge, a popularity challenge, and we see freaking Ryuko working his charm, his handsome charm, and basically performing a J-pop song out of nowhere, and it's really cool and really quirky, really funny, and really just, out of nowhere. And we see another one of our main villains, Lady Boutique, and she basically sees, Ryuko singing, and she becomes like a super fangirl of his song. And then we see, eventually, Ryuko and Tono and then the Monster Week eventually accept to this challenge, popularity challenge. And we get to see, Tono trying his best, to, do the challenge. And then we see, Atami just shows up and just, tells them about how, you can still be number one if you do these things. And then Tono's like, get away from me, you're weird. And then, some hijinks shenanigans happens. And we see, eventually, Tono, gets motivated by, the fact that, he did help out someone with their laundry with his super smelling ability. And then we see, the monster eventually does this, like, popularity poll thing. And then we see Atami goes to number one. Because, of course, he's Don Momotaro. He has the powers of Don Momotaro. Momotaro has those abilities. And then we see, a really cool fight scene between, the Monster Week, Ryuko, Tono, Atami, who's Don Momotaro, using Don Momotaro's powers. And we see Ryugi shows up too. They eventually fight, some grunts. But eventually it's a fight between, Tono. And there's this really cool fight scene between Tono and Atami. They fight. and they use their Sentai powers. And there's this really cool chase scene between Tono and Atami where they just use their abilities. Tono just using his super speed, kind of like the super speed ability, and then we see Atami uses Jetman powers to grow wings to fly, and it's really cool fight scene, or at least chase scene. And we see Lady Boutique shows up, and she's in her giant evil mecha, and she's wreaking havoc to the city. And we see Ryuko uses his Tega Sword Blue and transform into his mech form, the mecha form, and you see him fight Lady Boutique. We see Ryugi uses an O-Ranger powers to basically defeat the grunts. And we see Tono and Atami basically fight, and we see them eventually finish off the Monster Week on the ground. And we do see Ryuko using his Tega Sword Blue to defeat Lady Boutique, and Lady Boutique goes down, but she retreats. And we get to see that eventually Atami, who's Dalma Moltaro, wins the popularity contest. Everyone's baffled, and then we get to see our new Gozyuger, Goju Eagle or Goju Green, basically shows up at the end of the episode, midway through the end of the episode. He shows up and he does an attack at Atami, and then he eventually goes away. And then we find out that the mysterious girl who is Goju Unicorn or Goju Black, which is Sumino Ichikawa. She is basically Atami, who's Dalma Moltaro. She is a private eye, and that she is Atami's right hand lady. And we get to see, she's the next Gojuger. She's Goju Black or Goju Unicorno or Unicorn. And then the episode ends off with a cliffhanger. The episode ends off with Goju Eagle introducing himself as Kichi Nori Joji, or I think that's his name is, or at least that's his younger name. Again, I'm gonna learn the names of every character the more I review the series. But the episode ends off with Goju Eagle revealing himself, and everyone's baffled, and then the episode ends off there. What do I think about this episode? It's one of the more bombastic, more silly episodes, but also a really enjoyable episode. Really love seeing, the Dalma Moltaro suit in action again. Love seeing this Atami character, this Prime Minister character, basically doing shady Prime Minister stuff, but also, trying to be more popular, the stereotypical Prime Minister, trying to get popularity votes, try to appeal to the everyday people, but also getting popularity, also doing shady stuff and trying to be more popular. Love seeing our characters interacting in this episode. Love seeing that we get introduced to our next set of Gojugers or Rangers in this episode. Love seeing, the action scenes in this episode. But other than that, this was an enjoyable episode. And pretty much that's going to be it for my review for episode 3 of number 1 Sentai Gozyuger. I hope you guys like and enjoy this review. And stay tuned for more reviews like this. And stay tuned for more Transformers and Tokusatsu related content on the channel, and stay tuned for more non-Tokusatsu related content on the channel as well. And stay tuned for tomorrow for my episode 21 review of Kamen Rider Gav. That should be out tomorrow. And stay tuned for more content on the channel. Make sure to like and share this video. Also subscribe to the channel. By subscribing to the channel, you'll be really supporting me as a content creator and really supporting the channel. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.